magical night, love at first sight. You were wearing a mask, but magnets attract. I saw your soul, no words were said. It was a choice of the heart, not of the head.
To the wedding dish. We are starting off a little bit differently than normal, but it is I'm super duper excited about this episode. Grab your fork and knife, take a seat at our table, and we are about to dish on all things weddings. Today you are going to hear stories and tips from a wedding professional about life, love, and entrepreneurship. And I am so excited to dish with her. I, of course, am Sarah Alapin, host of The Wedding Dish and CEO of Photos from the Harty and District Bliss. I have my Snorosaurus in his podcasting co-host chair, Clouseau, the French Bulldog Bud. You will probably hear him throughout this whole process. And today I am joined by an amazing human who writes custom songs for weddings. Faith Rumer, thank you so much for being here with me today.
I am so thrilled. Sarah, this is so exciting to do this and share this stuff. And I love weddings, so it's really cool to talk about this. I'm really happy.
I am so glad to have you here. And of course, you just heard a song that she wrote on the lead into this podcast. And she's brilliant. She's got the best energy of anyone. Just such a lovely human. So I'm really glad you're here, Faith.
I'm glad that you said human, so that we know that we're not the dog, but the human.
Yeah. That is a good point. Oh my gosh. Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about the process and also what the heck is a custom song, the process of choosing one, how to find someone that you want to write your song, to sing your song, how to choose the important pieces, and why it might be an important piece of your celebration. So Faith, first, before we jump into this, tell me how you got into writing custom songs for weddings.
Well, I started singing for weddings when I was 16 years old. I was singing and actually singing at a church, and couples would come to the services, and they started asking me to sing at their weddings. So I was getting paid when I was 16 years old to sing at weddings, and then I moved on from that and kept doing a lot of work. I can't even tell you how many weddings I have sung at. Weddings themselves, the ceremonies, and receptions too. So I've done a lot of all of that work, and then I also started producing songs and writing songs myself. I had a career as a singer-songwriter, and I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great to actually write songs for custom events? So there's all kinds of a custom event you can have a song written for, but a wedding is one of the most perfect ones, because sometimes it's hard to, you feel like your words fall short, and that a song can express exactly what you're feeling, or in a way that, really heightens it and really makes you feel it really deeply in, like in your heart and your soul, that kind of experience.
That's beautiful. I really love that. And as someone who did not write their own vows, who felt uncomfortable trying to express my feelings in that kind of way, and my husband felt that too, I think that would be a really interesting you know, piece to have someone else voice that for you, literally voice that for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so tell me a little bit about the process when you're working with a couple. How do you get to know them? How do you bring out these beautiful pieces like we just heard in the song at the top of the show?
Yeah. So it starts out with this a special fun interview that I do with a couple, and it takes about, I don't know, half an hour to an hour, where we sit down and I interview them. I have a lot of questions that I ask them. It's really fun to lead them through it, and we talk about how they met, some fun things they know about each other, different kinds of things, and then I record that session, and I take all of the things I found out of that session and I put it into a song. For example, the song that I just you just played in the beginning, that was a song about a couple who had met uh, a year before they ever got together, and it was a gay couple, and one of the men thought the other one was too young for him, because he was about maybe almost 15, 20 years younger. He thought, oh, he's too young, right? And so they kind of never got together. And then a year later, they met at a costume party, and he didn't know that was the same guy he had met earlier.
Oh my gosh.
So they fell in love that night.
Oh my gosh. I
Yeah,
just got
yeah, I
goosebumps.
know. And the words then, it was a magical night, love at first sight. You were wearing a mask, but magnets attract. I saw your soul. No words were said. It was the choice of the heart and not of the head.
I love that. That's so special. It's so personal. And it's honestly not something that they may have thought to include in something like their vows.
No, they may have talked about their story or something like that, but I was at their wedding, and they didn't include it. In fact, I sang the song at the wedding for them as well, so that was really great. But they didn't talk about that in their vows, because their vows sometimes, you can't include your whole history of what's going on with you. You can try to
Yeah.
express how you feel, but then there's that.
And that's really special because sometimes those pieces in your relationship, um, you don't see the forest for the trees in the things in your own life. So then bringing in you, Faith, you brought out this amazing moment in their lives that then is, memorialized forever.
Yeah, and it's really great. And then they remembered that. So the really cool thing that happened that night when we had the interview, afterwards they said, we feel so much better, because you know how it is when you're trying to plan your wedding and it was getting close, and they had all of these details, and they were really stressed out, and they were kind of going at each other a little bit. You know how that can happen. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Seen that a time or two.
We've been there. So they, after they got done with the interview, they said we got back to why we fell in love with each other. We remembered the story. We had these fun things to say about each other, and now we're just in such a different space. So it was really cool that happened.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you perspective, right? Like you're talking about why it matters that you and why you're together and why you love one another and the story. And it's so easy to get wrapped up in the stress and the little minute details, but the
Hmm.
big stuff, that's the stuff you really need a reminder of. So that's really special that they got to. I'm not surprised they felt that way in the interview, because I know you have that kind of personality that pulls that out of people.
Oh,
Um,
sweet, thanks.
but I'm really glad that they got to take a beat and step back and remember that special stuff. And I'm sure it made a difference moving forward for the rest of the planning process too.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. I just take a beat and remember that. And that's what's cool about the song, too, because you can play your song like a year later when you're having problems. Maybe you're having a little argument or something's come up, and you play your song and you dance together to the song. And that's going to shift everything.
Yeah. And I mean, how could you not dance to it? I mean, how could you not remember all of the good stuff and set aside those things that just don't really matter that much in the
Mm-hmm.
grand scheme.
Yeah, I know some people have, put a rose, like that would be the symbol. If I put a rose out, then that means we're going to remember the day of our wedding. But a song, that's like what you have for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's so
so
cool.
special. And I really love how you're able to get so many personal details and so much love and put it into a song. I mean, that's such a cool thing. And it's something that until we had a conversation about it, I had never even thought of being, a possibility.
Yeah, it's a kind of a new thing, but I've been writing songs for other occasions, and it would be really great. I sang at my mother got remarried, and I sang at her wedding. And so didn't sing my songs. I sang someone else's songs, but I thought, wow, wouldn't it have been great if I could have wrote her a song? I don't know if I could sing through it. If I would probably be in tears, which I have to tell you, I was singing the song from my mother, and they're standing up at the altar, and she starts to cry, of course. And then her husband, comes up and puts his arms around her, and now he's crying. Now the two of them are like cry, and I'm trying to sing, Sarah. It was like I thought if I could be professional in this moment, that would be good. And I got through the song.
I don't know how you did. I
Well,
would have been sobbing.
yeah, but I got to tell you, because when I said I love weddings, it's like um, I've sung at like a lot of weddings, and I'll watch them come down the aisle at the ceremony, and it doesn't even matter if I just met them or they're kind of like not, I don't know them very well. I'm still crying when the bride comes down. I can't help it. It's like this thing that happens for me. I feel so honored to be part of their day. And that's what it feels like the song feels like too. There's just like big honor for me to encapsulate this idea in a song for them that can, what the other cool thing I just thought about too is that sometimes, people can't make it to your wedding. And nowadays we kind of can Zoom or do video and stuff. But if you can send them the song, this is our wedding song, they could actually have a part of that too.
Yeah, I mean, the options are endless because you could also overlay it on the wedding video if you do a video.
Absolutely. Yes. That's really a cool thing. Yeah.
And that gives it a whole different, meaning and feeling when you watch the video. So then imagine, let's say commonly people watch their wedding video on their anniversary. It's a whole different experience when it's a custom song about your story.
Yeah. And so I do the interview with them. And then the other thing is, I ask them what kind of style they want the song in. So I can do it in just about any kind of style that they want. And then if they want like a male singer or something like that, I can bring that in if they prefer that. I sing a lot of them, but I'm certainly can bring in other people to sing on the songs if they want. And because I have a wealth of friends who are amazing singers. Many of them and all the musicians I work with are like they've been touring with huge stars, and that's what's really cool. I can bring those people in and have them on the songs as well.
That's amazing. That's a great point. You depending on what anyone's style of music is, or what they want to use the song for. If it's their first dance, it might be a little bit different than if it's during their ceremony, right? Or if it's during the reception, it might be a very
Mm-hmm.
different style song. Or depending on what the story is, because the story might. I would imagine, and I guess I'll ask you this because you would know. Does the story dictate the style of song that you put together?
Well, I think the story kind of helps me, guides me along in what I might do in that style. But I really feel like I want to honor what they like, the kind of style they want. Because some people like, oh, write me a country song, or I want R&B, or can you do a Whitney Houston song, or whatever, and um, or I want a classic love song, and that's opened up to so many different things. And some people want to party, so they want to celebrate their love in a big party song. So we could do that too as well. It kind of depends on what they want. Most people want that song for the first dance or something like that because it's really special.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, that would probably be that's what I would envision I would do in, in my wedding. Um, but it seems like the options are honestly endless.
They are, yeah, right. And you can take your song along with you to your on your honeymoon.
Yeah, I mean, and what a wonderful thing to just have for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's really a keepsake. And so you get the interview, and then we want to go back to the process that I kind of understand.
Yes.
So you do the interview, and then I take that and I write like the verse and a chorus of the song. So that's kind of that first section, and then the chorus is the big thing that gets repeated through the song. And then we'll have another interview, and we'll kind of check it out and see if you like where we're going. And then if you do, then I'll finish the song up, and then you'll review it again. I'll get some more input, and then I go into production. So then we go to I get my musicians lined up, we do the arrangement, and then we go into the studio and we record it. And then it has to be mixed and all of that. And then it's all ready to go. We put it on an MP3 so that you have it as an MP3, but you can also get it on a CD with like a picture on it. We can make that for you too. So it's really cool. I don't know if anybody has CD players anymore, but it's really nice to have it. We can also make a plaque of it, like a CD, like a Grammy Award, only it's
Yeah.
your song.
I love that. That's so much fun. That's really cool. So, what is your personal favorite part of the process?
Oh gosh, that's really a great question. They're also different. I love the interview part. When I'm writing the song, it's like that is about, really, I have to really sit down and let it come through me and try to put it together. So that's a crafting thing. And I do love doing it. But once I get that done and I get to be able to produce it, that becomes super fun because then what we wrote comes alive. In a song, that's the best part when you can see it and you hear it in the background and you've seen people in the studio on TV where they're hearing that song come alive and they're just, jamming to it. That's what it feels like when you're in the studio doing it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And what an interesting experience. I just this whole idea is just such a cool concept that I'm so glad you're sharing with us.
I know it's really it's such a great idea, and like the song that you heard in the beginning, "Te amo," that means "I love you" in Spanish. So I ended up sprinkling some Spanish in that song because one of the grooms was from South America, and they used to say that was something they said to each other. They told me their little ritual they would do. He would say "Te amo," and then. He'd say "cuánto," which is like how much, and he'd say "mucho."
Oh,
So I had to put that in the song.
that's amazing. I love that. I love that. Because I heard it say Quanto and I was like, where's the and I didn't think about the rest of it. My brain was like,
Yeah.
this is interesting. This must be very personal.
Well, it was perfect for them because he was,
Yeah.
of South American descent, and then the other groom was not. So there was a little, English, a little Spanish. It was all great. It was all mixed in there. So that's how personal it can get.
Yeah, that's really cool. And did they use that as their first dance song?
Yes, I actually sang it with a band, and it was the first time I sang it. I had never sang it in because I actually hadn't recorded it yet before I sang it at their wedding because they wanted me to sing it, and then I recorded it right after that. So it was really, I was like, keeping my fingers crossed. But I gave the chart to the band, and the band played it beautifully, and they were just crying when I was playing the song for them. They were just it was just, you could just see it. And maybe that's the best part, when you see them.
When you see the reaction and the pure joy at reliving this relationship and how they've built it together and all of the things that they've been through that have got them to that that place where they, are doing their first dance after they've said their vows.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is so cool. I really love that.
Well, it's just kind of another wonderful thing that you can add. Everybody loves music, and we're especially nowadays we're so attached to our music. We listen to it all of the time, and to be able to have this added to your wedding, it's really
Yeah, it's really special. And I could see the application for so many different types of weddings too. Truly the options are endless here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can even extend it to anniversary songs and people like that. So, if you wanted a song written for your anniversary or some other kind of thing, you can do it too. So, but it's beautiful for a wedding.
Yeah, I really love it. I think that's such a great idea. Um, awesome. Well, we're going to take a super fast break on the wedding dish. We're here with Faith Rumer today talking about custom wedding songs, and we will be right back after this quick break.
When we first kissed, time it stood still. When I'm in your arms, my soul's fulfilled. Our love is a fiery heart and a patience so deep. You're taking care of me, and you're my family. I'll love you forever. Quanto mucho. I'm risking it all for love together. Te amo forever and ever. You are my star. You are my star. You guide me home.
And we are back. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on the wedding dish today. I, of course, am Sarah Alapin, your hostess with the mostest. And at my table today, I have Cluso, the stinky Frenchie bud, and I also have an amazing human, Faith Rumer.
Oh gosh, Sarah, that was a great introduction.
I never plan my intros. It just comes out of my mouth in real time.
Isn't that the best? That's the best.
I'm admittedly not a great reader. When my inflection in my voice is just not the same. So you can totally tell when I'm reading versus when I'm just speaking. And that's one of the things I really enjoy about this podcast is that I don't have to read anything. And I just get to be myself and meet these amazing people, or really just chat with amazing people. So, Faith, I'm so glad to have you here today. I'm talking with you about custom songs is such an interesting piece of a wedding day and relationship and celebration that I think is so cool. And I think it's something that a lot of people aren't necessarily aware of. So thank you again for joining me today on the wedding dish.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. And you're right, it's kind of a new idea. We've always had, your flowers and your video and your pictures and photos and all of that. But there's other ways that sometimes people come up with other inventive ways to mark their wedding. And we often pick songs that we love to have at our wedding. Like, when I used to do when I used to do ceremonies, they would have very particular songs they wanted at the ceremony that they had really chose. I have a funny story about that. I sang at my sister's wedding, and she gave me a list of songs that I wanted to sing, and I gave her some other song ideas back, and so she chose. She chose this really, really, really hard Whitney Houston song for me to sing, like one of the hardest songs, right?
Which one?
Gosh, I'm trying to remember which one. It's not "I Have Nothing." It was I'll think of it in a second. It's like it's
Okay.
off my brain right now, but man, was it hard. And so then the story that happened. This is what happens at weddings, right? So
Leave it to sisters.
right. So I'm practicing it and practicing it and practicing it. And I get to the wedding, the our rehearsal was out of town. I had to go to Illinois for the wedding. And there I go. And the woman who was going to accompany me, she was not feeling good and she couldn't make the rehearsal. So she didn't feel comfortable doing it at the wedding. So I had to play the piano and sing. I
Oh,
didn't count
boy.
on playing the piano at all. I believe in you and me. That was the song. I believe in you and me. That was it, right? It's really
Oh
hard.
my gosh. Yeah. I do not sing. I am a terrible singer, in fact. Wait, let me rephrase this. I sing all the time. I sing weird things that I'm doing. I sing constantly, but I'm horrible at it and I shouldn't.
Right, they're having fun. That's the main thing, right? It was so funny because I kept trying to talk my sister out of that song. It's like, don't you want this song? She goes, no, I want that Whitney Houston song.
That is so funny. Again, leave it to sisters.
Well, she got what she wanted. And and it came out really, really good. I was, pleased, but I was on pins and needles the whole time going, oh, please let this be good.
Oh my goodness.
I
Oh
think
my gosh.
like when you're involved in a relative's wedding, it even becomes more important. Don't you think so?
Yeah, it's a different beast altogether, because you're invested personally in a different way, and emotionally in a different way. And I'm very much like you, where I cry during the ceremony, which is not ideal for focusing a camera, but it works out okay. I've been doing it since 2005, not stopping anytime soon. Um, but there's definitely a different level of emotional investment. It's just a different way of emotional investment because I'm emotionally invested in all of my couples, as it sounds like you are as
Me
well.
too, absolutely.
I just love them, and I love learning all their story, and I love learning about their relationship and everything. And of course, you're doing that in even a more in-depth way than what I'm doing. So that, yeah, it's definitely more when it's a relative or a close
Mhm.
friend.
Yeah, I haven't written a custom song for a relative yet, but it might be interesting. Um, you know, see how
Yeah.
that goes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. Um, So you mentioned you started this when you were 16 years old, not necessarily the custom piece, but singing at weddings. What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in the actual singing piece of the wedding since over the course of the years? Not very many years, 7 years.
You're so kind, Sarah. Meeny, meeny years. Yes, I'm really only 30. So funny. A lot of things have changed and a lot of things have not changed. I think the ceremony itself is kind of very like somewhat similar. That people say their vows and they have their first dance and they have certain songs that they walk down the aisle to and all of that. So I think maybe the music choices has changed. I think people are more, they really want to have a particular song at their wedding. That's what I've seen. So that's why this is kind of great, because then you get, here's the worst thing. You pick a great song for your wedding, and then you go to someone else's wedding, and they have the same song.
Yeah, that's true. Or you really wanted a song for your wedding. You go to someone else's wedding first and you're like, can I choose that now?
Right, because that can happen. Right.
It
So,
it totally can.
and you can include all your songs that you wanted in your reception. Give it to the band to play, give it to the DJ to play. They'll play all of those songs for you that you love too, as well. But you can.
Yeah.
So that's changed, I think, and I think people are trying to customize their wedding some more. I was listening to one of your podcasts about puppies.
Oh, that was season 3, episode 1.
I know I had to listen to it because I'm like a puppy like maniac. So I thought, it was so cute. And I thought, what a great idea to personalize your wedding that way. So anytime you can personalize a wedding, I think that's really happening more. Don't you see that as a trend?
Yeah, and I kind of love that. I love that while we may have like the same structure in a lot of ways, like what you were saying, where, we have the ceremony where we say vows and we have a first kiss and then we, have our first dance and cut a cake and have dinner together, and then maybe dance. Um, but I love that people are able to, within that structure, really make it their own. And also that we don't have expectations that people have to live into that same structure as, we used to. And part of that started before the pandemic, but I think the pandemic really broke that open, where people were able to then have mini monies and, which is a small ceremony, for those of you out there who may not know.
I never heard
And
that term.
oh, really?
Ceremony.
It's like a small wedding. It's for me, it's a different level of work because I'm coordinating far fewer people into group photos and things. So it's a little bit less expensive, but they're able to then, do some more elaborate decor or invest in something like a custom song, because they don't have the same expense for the number of guests who are attending.
Mhm.
So you see a lot of it on Instagram now. That's a lot of what people are sharing, because it's really, they're beautiful events because they're heavy on decor, they're heavy on personalization, they're heavy on customization, and there's something really special to that. And I really love that people are able to be who they are as a couple in weddings. That to me is just so important. That's what I wanted for my wedding. And our first dance song was Hard to Concentrate by Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I love it, Sarah. That's so cool.
Talk about a unique song nobody else is doing.
But no one was going to pick this song.
But we couldn't find anything that fit us, and that just felt like the right fit. And
Yeah.
yeah, our entrance song was to a ZZ Top song.
One of my friends, one of my very best friends, she had a wedding, and her husband was Scottish. He came in a kilt. It was up in New York, upper east side of New York. It was a really great wedding, and he came into Back in Black by
AC/DC.
AC/DC. Yeah, that's how he
Ah.
came into.
Oh my God. I love that
On the
so
organ.
much.
Dun, da da dun, da da dun.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. I can see so many songs that would be fun to do that with.
Yeah.
Like what's the song that's like and here goes me singing in my horrible voice, but Welcome to the Land of the Ice and Snow, where it's I think it's Led Zeppelin. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Ah!
That could be such a fun song to enter to, right?
It would be unforgettable. Well, that's the whole idea, right? So we could make a wedding and a ceremony and, a reception feel really unique.
I love that. It's just so fun to really highlight who you are on your wedding day. And that's one of the really cool things about what you're doing, Faith, is with these custom songs, you're literally telling the story of this couple on their wedding day. And as a photographer, my goal is to tell the story of their wedding day. So it like, for me, it fits so perfectly, and it seems like such a brilliant thing to do.
Yeah, it's great. People if they want to customize their wedding and they want to really make it special, it's worth the investment. It's something you're going to have for the rest of your life. And like you said, nowadays people are doing a little, maybe smaller wedding, or if they have put away the money, because of this last year, they've been able to maybe get a little more money. Having this is a perfect time to invest in something like we were talking about, something a little bit more special.
Yeah, because if you've gotten to save for an additional year in your wedding planning or 18 months, and then you're doing something small and having fewer guests, I'm all about doing the things that really matter in the end at weddings, and eliminating those things that just don't really fit. That don't fit your budget, that don't fit who you are as a couple. And I think, there's a place and time for everything. But I think the biggest thing to me is that day should be about you. And what is more about you than a custom song about your love, your relationship, and your story?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So who do you have any advice for entrepreneurs who might be interested in breaking into the custom song industry?
Well, I think one thing you want to keep in mind is that the song is really special. So you're not writing the song for you; you're writing the song for them. So start there. Like, how can I, how can I write a song? But you might want to start out writing a song for a friend or for someone else and just say, let me just write the song for you, and then do it, because go through the process, go through the interview so that you have some experience doing that. So start to reach out to friends and family members and friends that and creating those special songs for those people first, because that way, you kind of get in the flow of it. If you've been writing, also, if you've been writing breakup songs, you might want to think about, because not everybody can write a love song. It's a different thing.
Yeah, it is a very different thing. And I think that's a really valuable thing to point out. This is about this is about other people. This is not your story. You are telling someone else's story. And to take yourself out of it, to the level, of course, anything creative, you're going to have your soul's imprint on. But making sure that it's about them. It's not about the person singing.
Yeah. Yep.
That's amazing. So, do you have any advice for people who are getting married, who are thinking about maybe having a custom song, or who are looking at the importance of telling their story through their day?
Well, that's a good question. I think that if you try to find someone again who's not just a songwriter, but someone who's has a business that they're trying to write custom songs for people, because they're in that process of that. Because if you had your brother write the song or sister write the song, you don't know, or a friend, if it's going to turn out to be your song.
That makes total sense. And
yeah, and the other thing is that I would say also be willing to invest a little in this, because if you expect someone to write a song for $100 for you, it's like you're going to get $100 song.
Yeah, you get what you pay for sure.
Right, and the songs that we hear on the radio, that's like, well, a lot of people want that kind of a quality. I mean, they spend, anywhere from $20,000 for a song up to $50,000 to produce those songs that you hear on the radio.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's so crazy to think about.
Yeah,
That's
because there's a lot of the expense in something that is. I mean, that's not what my custom songs go for, but
yeah.
That's unless you want me to write a song for you for $20,000.
In which case,
We're going to get the best musicians that you got. Like it was good. But already, I had people who, toured with Bruce Springsteen and all kinds of people who I bring in to, do these kinds of things. So that's important. You get really quality, and you don't want to get back a song that doesn't have a quality, like really quality. So be willing to invest in it. Like you'd want to invest in good pictures and good photos, the difference between you can speak to this so well. A good photo and someone who doesn't know how to light something is ridiculously different.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Or who can't wrangle your family, or, who gets frustrated with your family when it feels like herding cats.
Yeah.
There are so many pieces that go into it, and being able to smile and enjoy that process is, I think, one of my superpowers.
Yes.
For me,
Yes.
it's what I think of in photography is that for me it's like vacationing in someone else's family when I'm doing those posed photos. So for you, writing the custom song, it seems like it might be vacationing in someone else's relationship.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, good. It is. And then, that's a really cool way to say that. I love that. I love that. Yeah.
I mean, how fun is that? Like, isn't it fun to vacation in someone else's relationship? You get to really get to know all those special
Yeah.
moments.
Well, I pour my heart and my soul into writing the song, so I feel like I'm part of the song that they have as well. And when I get done with it, I'm like, oh, look at the song. It's so good. I'm so happy for you.
That makes me really happy. That makes me so happy. I think this is such a cool idea. I think obviously I've probably said that 75 times in this episode, but I think it's such a cool thing. I just love it. I'm so glad you're doing this. I'm so glad I know it's a thing now.
Me too.
And I'm so glad we're sharing it with the wedding dish.
Yeah, because this is fun. People should have fun stuff for their wedding and stuff that's like they look forward to. And that, here's the other thing. It's like I take care of it all for them. They don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. And anything you don't have to worry about when planning your wedding is a huge deal.
Yep.
That's amazing. Well, Faith, this has been lovely. You have shared so much lovely information. And I'm so glad we were able to play some of your music during the break and at the beginning. We'll play some on the way out of this, of the podcast as well. But where can people find you online?
Well, let's see. They can find me online at faithrumer.com, and that's Faith, FAITHRUMER.com, not RUMOR, but RUMER.com. And that's my music site. But if you want to go to the custom song page, then it's faithrumer.com/custom-songs. And you can find it real easily on the website as well.
Awesome. And we'll, of course, link to that in the show notes, which will also have tons of awesome info from Faith. And we'll also have the transcripts from this episode. So you'll be able to read it if you prefer.
I have a question about the transcript. Is all the laughing in the transcript?
No, which is so strange because I laughed so much. And it's weird. It doesn't tell you I'm laughing. Good question.
So you have to watch the episode, listen to the episode, in order to get all the laughing.
Yes. Yeah. Or, you can probably, if you know me, you can imagine it. Faith, you also have a special gift that you're giving to our listeners, which we'll link to in the show notes. So it'll be super duper easy to find. But she has a meditation, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong here, I guess. She has a meditation for couples who are planning their weddings, correct?
Yeah. So it's a guided meditation. It's called De-Stress, Have Fun on Your Big Day. So you can play it before the wedding, or maybe get it like chance, like, usually like that night before, or even the morning of the wedding if you have a moment. And it's guided with music, and it's all about putting you in that space of really enjoying your big day and letting all of the stress go. Let it all go.
Yeah, and that 2 weeks out is probably also a good time to listen to it, because that's when all the things start coming in, and it's all the last minute things you kind of forgot about or didn't have the information you needed until that time frame. So that's probably also a great time to listen to it. So we will link to that in our show notes so that you all will be able to access that. And Faith, thank you for sharing that. That's also a really cool thing. And I know I mentioned at the top of the show that I really love Faith's energy. And one of the things that she's really amazing at is doing these meditations and bringing you into a space where you just feel calm and serenity. And they're very moving meditations. So I really appreciate you sharing that with our audience.
Yeah. I mean, I was listening to it because before I sent it to you to have, I wanted you to share it with you. And I was like, oh, if I was a bride, this would be great.
I know. I'm like, I wish I had that when I was like packing my suitcases and all the things.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Well, Faith, thank you so much for being here today. This has been super educational, so eye-opening and inspiring, and I'm really excited to share this with the Wedding Dish audience. So I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Sarah. It's been so much fun. It's been great.
Yay, I'm so glad to hear that. And thank you all for tuning in today. I, of course, am so thankful that you are listening to The Wedding Dish. It's just such a fun way to share information and inspire for those of you who are planning your weddings and or in the wedding profession. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, we are at The Wedding Dish Podcast. We'll be sharing some of Faith's, some photos and things, so you'll get to see that. And then you can also hit our website, theweddingdishpodcast.com, for show notes, transcripts, to apply to be a guest on the show, and for all kinds of juicy wedding tips and tricks from couples and wedding pros alike. And don't forget to tune in next week. I will be chatting with another amazing person. Next week, we have a married couple, so you'll be getting some wedding inspo from that direction. And if you like the podcast, please rate and review us on your favorite podcasting app. Until next time, everyone have a great rest of the day. Cheers!
On my face, you are my soul. Now my heart's ache, tears of joy. On my face, you